Okay. Right, this will be an interesting one. We're just going to set up the master copy for this. We're going to start it at full colour, but we're going to do something different because colour-wise it looks more suitable. It's got a lot of black and red, so we'll see how we go. I think we're going here. Got to make this look really nice. Bit of extra contrast. Copy density can stay pretty much. Right. Okay, let's see what we do with this. What is it? It is, I haven't had one of these for a while, the Bragg. It's basically music, art and culture, but not rich people's bullshit culture, but proper creative underground culture. Now this back one looks really nice, but we're going to do the front. We're doing the front of this, but basically this is a more underground-ish sort of a publication. Doesn't look like a total snobby kind of publication like some of the ones I've done. So let's see how this looks. And it goes well with what we're doing here, which is basically an underground art form. Oddly enough, these are created by dirty rich corporations, and a lot of corporations use this shit to print their shit to make money. So it's ironic that we're using a tool from a rich person's office to make art. It's really strange the way we're doing this, but that's basically it. You know, like, we're going to put this in a waiting room, so we're not going to throw it on the recycle pile. But basically, yeah, it's like, man, I'm just wondering if maybe we should do another. I'll just play with that. This looks a bit too dark. Like, I think there's too much red and shit. So we're just going to put that aside, and we're just going to pick up the magazine again and maybe make it a bit lighter. We don't want too much darkness on it. But yeah, it's like, this is an underground art form. Photocopier art or copier configuration art is not considered an art form that you normally see. It's like, really, oh, that didn't beep. That's really strange. But basically, it's something that's been going almost since the invention of the fully automatic photocopier, known as the Xerox 914, should I say. And basically, people have been trying to use these equipments. Like, a lot of people would just sneak in and use the copier, because it's not something that you find in a normal home back then. It was too expensive. Basically, people used to do it on the sly in the office. So they used their office copier to make this underground art, this relatively, what was new, underground art on a new technology, what was then a new technology. So, so it's still underground. It hasn't gone to the surface. It's not recognised as most people. If people were doing it in the 90s, but now it's like it's almost died out as far as practices of art are concerned, and it's never had the same. Even computer art or Photoshop has more reach than this. This is still way underground, and it just seems as if it's never going to come to the surface. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to promote this shit. I'm just sick of it being totally unrecognised. It's what I'm good at. I know that I can do this shit really well, but it's not something that art galleries in the mainstream recognise. They don't recognise this. They see it. They don't I think they don't there's a lot of misunderstandings about it, because it looks easy. You're pressing buttons. You're just putting things on the glass and you're pressing buttons. supposedly. But basically, as you can see, it's not always that easy, and you've got to work out what looks good and what looks shit. Now we're going black and yellow. We're going into dual colour. So let's see how the yellow looks. But basically, it still hasn't reached the upper echelons of the art world. It had a moment in the sun back in the 90s, but it's gone underground long ago. And I'm trying to get it more recognised. Now that looks really bright. You can still see her face, but that looks really lo-fi. The thing I like about this lo-fi-ness is that it takes me back to the earlier days. It looks like something created probably in the early 80s or maybe even the 70s. But in the 70s they didn't have much colour. They did have colour, but colour would have been so expensive. A lot of people just used black and white, but the black and white had the contrast that was really harsh. And this looks very similar to that sort of thing, except it's got a bit of colour. But if you took away the colour, it would look like it would definitely be something from the 70s, like the punk movement, the punk fanzines. The word zine has come, I think, was derived from fanzine, because a lot of punk bands used to like making magazines of their own, hand-published ones called fanzines, because the fans used to read them. They used to be aimed at the fans of their band, hence the term fanzine. But then there are other people using it for more personal issues and lifestyles. And again, it's underground. It's called zines, Z-I-N-E. It's like fanzine, but without the word fan. And you don't have to be a punk band to make your own zine. It's there, and anyone can do it. You know, you use things like photocopiers and long arm staplers and what else? I forgot to do something. I forgot to switch it to mirror image. You got long arm staplers as your accessories. You got glue and scissors and Stanley knives, or X-Acto blades to be more precise. X-Acto knives. You got all that shit that you don't use. These are like handmade sort of publications. Some of them, I don't know for sure, but some of them might involve computer manipulation, but that wouldn't be quite the same as the traditional one using the photocopier and the scissors and the cut and paste with the scissors and the glue and the long arm staplers and shit like that. It's just different. And there is a place in Melbourne that goes for all this old school stuff, and it's called the Sticky Institute. And every year in February they have their special little festival called the Festival of the Photocopier. So yes, the photocopier has been enshrined by this little underground zine shop called the Sticky Institute. Go look them up on Google. They've got a YouTube channel, I think, as well. So yeah, so basically this underground shit, even though it doesn't seem to be alive, it still lives. It still lives, it's still there, you just got to know where to find it. But I'm trying to bring the underground to the mainstream. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel and my Facebook page noticed by a more general population somehow. I don't know how they're going to like this shit, because it's not in their fucking world. Their world is more normalish, more like babies and 9-to-5 jobs and all that sort of shit. And it's really funny, a lot of them work in offices, and they don't realise the tool of the underground is sitting in their office, being subverted for more capitalistic reasons, money fucking. But they don't realise that this money fucking tool can also be a real tough little bugger when it comes to making cool art. Some really cool ripping and tearing art, like this kind of high contrast shit, or lo-fi shit. But anyway, enough about that. You get my drift, I'm pretty sure. Gotta go.